All right. Tonight's shave is going to be with this Semogue 1800. My first shave with it. It has been prepared for this shave with some soaking. Thought I was going to use it last night, so I soaked it for a few hours before that. But my work schedule didn't really allow that. I was too tired, and so I didn't use it. So I let it dry today-ish. And then again soaked it for a couple hours before this shave. So it's had some soaking, and the bristles feel like they have plenty of movement, not stiff at all. I think it's going to be great right out of the box, like several of my other Semogue brushes. The soap we're going to use today is a small puck Haslinger. Fits right in this black container from another company, and then I just pasted the label on top. This is from Haslinger, and it's the lanolin and sheep's milk soap that they have. Just terrific. Someone sent me, let's see, I bought this in 2017, I believe. And then somebody sent me an older one that I believe has more tallow in it or something like that. And so I'm interested in comparing those two. So today it's I believe it's the newer formulation. So, and I've just used this once, and you can see it's not a huge puck. About 10 bucks, I think. And well worth it. Should last a good long while. And their other scents are like honey, sage, sandalwood. I like their sandalwood. It's a little on the weak side, but it's a pretty true sandalwood, so I enjoy that. I'm not going to soak this puck this time. We're just going to load it for longer. See how that goes. All right. The blade we're going to use today is a Wilkinson sword. And the Wilkinson sword is kind of my go-to blade for a budget blade. Now this one looks like one of the German ones. I don't think this is the India version. Just got one use on it. But in my experience, they both pretty much performed the same. Just with one or two tries each. Actually, the Indian I've used quite a bit. And then I tried the German once, and it seemed about the same. A Merkur Futur, if I'm pronouncing it right, is the razor for today. Probably set it on something like a 3. So let's load it up. And so I'll push up one end with my thumb, turn it around, push up the other end, and then I can safely remove. And then this is where the blade goes. And then it sits on the rails there. I'm about to sell this razor, and so that's why I'm going to shave with it a couple times first, putting it through most of my standard blades so that I can have some good information to report even after the blade's gone, the razor's gone. 3 is a really comfortable setting for me that still gives me great close cuts. I don't really like the futuristic style, but I tell you what, the more I use this thing, the more I enjoy it. It's just a really nice razor. The comfort level is high with the closeness being on point as well. It's a neat balance. My throat's a little sore. I'll have to take a drink every now and then. So I've introduced everything. Let me splash my face with some water. All right. So today we're working on a 2-day shave since I wasn't able to shave like I wanted to last night. One of the first things you'll notice about this brush is it's so light. It's just really not going to get in your way if you have issues and you just need something light to flick around, and maybe you've got carpal tunnel or some other issue, a physiological issue. Then this type of series, the 1250, those others might be good for you. Let's see, 45 is going to roll around right now. So I am going to load here. I might add more. I'm going to watch it. Probably going to load for about 45 seconds. But I'm going to watch it and see if I need to add a few drops of water to the soap All right, so this is going to be 30 seconds of, there's 30 seconds of loading with just the, no, you know, that's picking up some soap pretty well, but I'm going to go ahead and add just a few drops. And then I'm going to, okay, now another 30 let's see, I did it for 30 seconds. Let's just do it for 15 more. So we'll go to 45 seconds on my clock there. There we go. Would have been quicker if I would have soaked it, but I just decided to do it this way. And let's just see if this is going to be enough soap. 45-second load. All right, and this is new, so we can definitely expect some hairs to come out. Not a problem at all. Good news is we can always go back to the puck if we need more soap. And I probably slung this guy out a little too hard. So usually come at my loading with just a little bit more wetness on the brush. So this is the 1800. I have tried the 1250. 1250 is it has the best hair type. It's called Best, and it's a grade of hair that Semogue uses. A little bit lower than that is called the Extra, and that's on the 1438. That's a little tiny guy, and it's also on the 620 partially. Yeah, 620. And the Extra is kind of one of their more low grades. And this brush, the 1800, is comparable because it has that extra hair. It's comparable to the 620. Now this one has the premium mixed in with it too. I believe it does differ a little bit in that regard with the 620, if I recall correctly. And it also differs a little bit, and I think that it's a 1 millimeter bigger diameter size, but mostly it's 5 millimeter longer in the bristle length. And so that will translate into a little bit of more backbone for the 620, but I think this should be somewhat similar to the 620. The 620 and the 610 are both really popular and enjoyable brushes that a lot of guys really like, but they have that small acrylic handle that that really is hard for me to hold on to when I'm bowl lathering. If they get slippery, they are just, you got to employ the death grip. Now I am going to go ahead and put some more water on my puck here. I'm going to load for 15 more seconds because I have been stirring for just a minute and it's not beefing up quite like I want. So let's go for 15 more seconds of loading and start at the 45 right there. Go all the way to the 00. We'll see if this helps us out. Maybe I should have, there we go. Maybe I should have soaked this puck like I usually do with hard pucks. You don't need to soak the artisan soaps like you know, Barrister and Man or Captain's Choice or any of those guys. You don't need to do that at all. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's not recommended. It can do you a disservice. But when the puck is truly hard, and it's an option for you if you want. And what I found, like with Williams for instance, it just saves you time on one end or the other. If you don't want to soak the puck in water, that's alright, you'll just have to spend more time loading. This looks better. If you do like I do and let the puck sit in some water while you prep other things, that saves you time later. because you don't have to then load for as long. Some guys really get their panties in a wad when you suggest for them to load a soap or soak a soap in water. So, you know, you can figure that out on your own. See what you think. Yep, just a, you know, it doesn't have too much of a smell. Kind of a fresh, clean, linen type smell, almost like Mitchell's wool fat or something. And this, I did have some bubbles stirred up, you know, because I put in the water. That's all right. You just got to stir through them and they'll go away. So I'm using this soap because I want to compare it to the Tallow formula that's older that I was able to purchase. Used puck. Be interesting to see. Haslinger's got a really nice soap line. They're really good performers. I mean, yeah, sure, they don't smell. Don't have strong smells, but they do perform really well. And they're hard, and so they'll last decades. That's the really cool thing about hard soaps. And I guess it's really funny, if I run into a hard soap that doesn't have a strong scent, it doesn't bother me as much. If I run into a crope that's kind of, excuse me, it's kind of weak, then I put that in my to sell bin pretty quickly. Unless it's something that's kind of supposed to be a little on the weak side, kind of a non-assuming, like the gray vetiver that Fine Accoutrements has. But Sterling did one, the Responders for Life one they have is a gray vetiver type scent. And it's a cologne, but it's just really unassuming and kind of fits the whole theme of it for it to not be super strong and obnoxious. So let's take a look. This is the first time I'm using this Boar, and so I'm not going to be surprised if I have to kind of come back and get more soap or something like that. That's just the way things go. Let's add just a little bit more water. So we've added, including what we put on the puck, we've added 4 teaspoons of water now. Sometimes it is common for hard soaps to need more water, to be more thirsty, because they don't retain those fats and oils that some of the softer soaps have. I believe I'm speaking correctly. Alright, we don't have a big quantity of soap here, of lather. It kind of, I wonder if I killed it with too much water. Wow. It had a lot more soap a minute ago. That is weird. Did I just kill it? That's hilarious. Well, you know what we can do? We can kind of push some of the lather out of the brush like that. And we'll just, you know, forget the timer. Let's just get us some good soap, because we're just looking for the feel of the shave here. Sometimes when you're playing around and you really want to get the feel for the soap, just load it like you stole it. Sometimes that means trouble, because that means you have to then add more water to compensate, and then you end up having more lather to deal with in your bowl. So then you're having to manage it and keep it from falling out of your bowl and all that stuff. That's better. And this is something to pay attention to too. I'll try to kind of reproduce the same events here when I use the older version, but we may find that it turns creamy and gets awesome a lot easier and a lot quicker. Sometimes that happens. Excuse me. Yeah, that looks a lot different than what I had just a minute ago. All right, let's go for it. Get my face wet, try this guy out. Oh, nice brush. Plenty of flexibility in the hairs. Comfortable right off the bat. Not scritchy. Nice little brush. As the tips split, as it ages, it'll get softer and softer. Don't want to waste lather. It's going to look a little rough because of the 2 days of growth. It kind of pokes through the lather sometimes. But I got a feeling, even though I'll be shaving it with kind of a mild setting, I'm pretty sure that the razor is going to, you know, just for grins, let me knock it up to a 4. There we go. And for the first pass, since I've got 2 days of growth on me. I don't think I like that very much. I think that the 3 will probably give me the similar result and just be a lot more comfortable. Of course, maybe it's just, you know, this razor doesn't really like this blade very much. That's one of the reasons I'm putting it through these paces here. Yeah, it feels a little rough. There we go. With this one, I might dial it down to 2.5 for the next pass. It's a little on the rough side. Let me rinse. All right. Loaded up the brush again. This time, because I thought maybe the lather might be a little too wet, went ahead and dabbed on the face a little bit with a towel. So we'll see if we can get a little creamier lather. These smaller brushes are nice for folks like me who have goatees, need to enjoy a little bit of maneuverability. And this brush is a dyed brush. That black stripe you see kind of down the middle is a dye. that they do. Maybe just to be able to tell their brushes apart. I don't know. I don't really feel like this is a good mix today. So you know what let's do? Let's just load for a few more seconds. And go right to the face. See if it changes. See if we switch to something creamy. You know, sometimes you get the right ratio and sometimes you don't. Maybe I was pushing too much water in it. Yeah, see, there we go. Okay, now, what we can do, just add a little bit of water to the brush, and I bet this will even out really nicely. Looks really nice on my right side here. Maybe try to bring some of that over to my left. Not getting really any prickle from the brush, which is cool. Just it's not super soft. You can tell it's definitely gonna get soft later. Yeah, this is a nicer lather. This is better. This is better. I totally should have soaked the puck, even just for 7 minutes before the shave. Would have just probably made it a lot easier to dial into the right lather with my technique. But that's all right. You learn. And that's probably why that first pass was a little on the rough side. It wasn't a good enough lather there to protect. Very good. That's the blade and razor I'm used to experiencing with much nicer performance. So tonight's lather building is really more of a how to rescue a lather that was too wet. First way I could tell that it was too wet is when it kind of died in the bowl. I just added too much water. Live and learn. Face feels good, despite that rough first pass. And rinse. Now that was an excellent creamy rinse right there. Just slickness, really pleasurable, good experience. All right. Third pass. Well, I got too much, when I rinsed, I left a little too much water in my beard. You got to be careful about that because that will kill the lather too. Just kind of flood the lather out. Yep, nice lather here. Third pass, and I'm going to bump it back up to 3, my usual setting, now that I've got the lather dialed in. Hey, here's a tip for you. If you start watching one of my videos and you want to figure out, you know, did this turn out to be a good shave? Is this one to pay attention to know how to do something well? Or is this one where we're going to learn how to rescue and save something? You can go down to the description of the video. I try to write everything important down in there. You can look for should be a general overview section, a summary type area that'll tell you, you know, great shave, or, well, I botched this lather. And then there'll be a lather section or a soap section that'll tell you how the lather went. And so using those notes, you can figure out, sometimes I'll tell you the specific reasons I'm doing certain shaves, and so those are going to be there, and so that's a quick glance, you know, instead of having to listen to the whole thing. And let me rinse and get all this off. Alright, so that's going to be good enough. There's some tips showing right here, but not really too much length showing, which is good. The Wilkinson sword is interesting. I had bought a sampler, but it didn't really have any Wilkinson swords in it. I wanted to try those out, so I went online to maybe buy 3 5-packs, you know, 3 tucks, and 1 tuck would probably not be quite enough, and I just wanted to buy 3 just to try them out. I didn't know about tryblade.com yet at that time, and I got on Amazon or eBay or both, and I checked, and it was just $3 more instead of buying 15 of them total. It was just like $3 more to buy 100 of them, so I did. I'm glad I did, because they're good blades. They turned good. But, you know, I thought I couldn't go wrong with that kind of pricing schedule. So that's why these guys are my go-to budget blades. There are some made in India, and there are some made in Germany. And the ones that are made in Germany, I think, have the word classic associated with them. Some people can tell a difference. Some people like one over the other, you know, and it's just the way it goes. Today I'm going to be using this from Lidl. I think it's German. Grocery store that has just popped up in our area. And they have all-man products. And this is the Hydro Gel. So let's give it a shot. I've used it, I think, once before, and it did pretty well. I usually like to go for something with a little bit more kind of manly smell, something kind of guttural, you know, like leather, or a nice cologne scent like Sharp Dressed Man, or an Aventus dupe like Executive Man, or something like that. But this is really light, and who knows, my wife may like this a little better. But it just a different kind of scent. The formulation here seems to work pretty well. It's got a you know, a ton of ingredients, but and it's just like $3. It is 1.7 fluid ounces, so it's not going to last forever, but I think it'll be well worth the money. And it seems to work well. And there are sometimes when I'm maybe about to go to bed and I don't really want something heavy as a scent on me. So something lighter like this is, it is masculine. It's probably, yeah, I think it's masculine. I think it would be a little out of place on a lady. But it's tricky to pick out the scents, which is cool. Just a kind of generic, light, springtime, you know, but it doesn't really smell floral. So who knows what else is in the mix there. Now this hydrogel has some kind of cooling agent in there. Fortunately, it's not as strong as most balm menthols that I've experienced, which often give me a burning sensation. This one's more of a cooling sensation, so I'm glad about that. But this is the winter. I don't really want a cooling action. I'll have to try to remember that. Maybe I'll mark on the cap that this has some kind of menthol agent in it. I don't think I ever got around to mentioning that the nice thing about this brush, it's got kind of the extra grade hair, which is maybe a little bit more scrubby than maybe the best or the premium. But then they did mix in some of the premium as well. And so it's kind of a blend. And so that's why I picked up these. The 610 and the 620 were, you know, really spoken well of. But since I didn't like the shorter plastic handles, I opted for the brushes with longer handles that were the same grade of bristles, so that I kind of know. And so this is after one use. You see how it's opened up a little bit. 2 soakings basically. But, you know, we do have some of the hairs. They're starting to split. Not a lot, but some. So we'll cycle through, and I'm interested in comparing this to like the 1250 and the 1305. Because the 1305 has all premium, where this has some premium and some extra. I'm curious if I'm going to be able to tell any difference. All right. So this little soap right here did pretty well. I wouldn't be too sad if I was stuck on a desert island and all I had was a supply of this soap. I'm interested to see this little puck, how long it'll last. But it's a hard puck, so I wouldn't be surprised if it lasted 3 months. $10 for a soap that lasts you 3 months. $3 a month for your shaving soap. I think that's probably a good deal, especially with the good performance and creaminess that it gave once I finally hydrated it properly. And so tomorrow we'll try what I believe is an older puck with the tallow, and we'll see if there's a difference. But that's a good little soap. Sure, I would miss a scent, you know, having some scent on there. But it's a good performing little soap at a good price. Oh, and here's a little forecasting. One of my viewers here on YouTube said that they had been working on a shaving bowl for themselves, had some neat designs, and wanted to send me one of them. And I thought that was really cool. I can't wait till I can afford to get a 3D printer. Maybe someday they'll come down in price so I can snag one. And because I've got so many ideas, I have to start a sketchbook or something like that. So when I finally get a hold of one or access to one, then I could do some things. But anyway, I'm going to try to, it looks really good. I think we finalized the design, and instead of the concentric circles like in this bowl, they're kind of spirals coming out from the middle. There's a hole in the middle, a bump in the middle to maybe help your brush not slide down all the way. There's a arm that comes up, really elegant, and that acts as a kind of a thumb holder as well as a brush rest. The spirals come up and they're shaped in such a way that they may even have kind of a churning action to churn the soap back down into the center of the bowl. And of course it has the inturned top lip, one of, in my opinion, the most important bowl features to try to get. And it's going to be plastic, and see, I have to worry about dropping this guy, so I use this ring as a safety precaution all the time. And but the plastic version, don't have to quite worry as much. If you drop it, you're not going to break something. So I'm looking forward to that. It's really neat. I don't think I've ever held anything that was 3D printed, so that'll be fun. So how much water did I end up using? Maybe 4 teaspoons. I don't know if I refilled it 3 times or 2 times, but kind of lost count. And this was, you know, once I had to rescue it, that's when you kind of throw the measurements out the window. You try to start with something different next time. And that's what I'll do. So, but hard water, I've got hard water, so Haslinger works just fine in hard water. That's something good to know. So for bowl lathering, I've just been really impressed with how these Semogues have shaped up. You know, I just used the 1800. I've used the 1250 about 5 times. Used the 1305 for the first time the other day. Have not used my 1438 yet. He's a little tiny runt. Bring him in later. But you know, I've got these guys, and they just takes a couple of uses. And maybe it's my shortcut method of soaking them for 1, 2, or 3 hours before each use. And then also putting them aside for 2 days, not using them, allowing them to dry out. That helps those tips to crack open and stuff like that. And it's, as a bowl latherer, most of them are a joy to use in 2 or 3 uses. And so I think that's pretty cool. Oh, so I showed you this little table I created here. This column is the one that I have. This column is the kind of the short version or the legendary version that this one is similar to. And these have 5mm longer lofts than these versions in most cases. And then this tells the grade of hair that each one has. You can roll back and pause if you want to read that with more detail. So that's a fun little soap. But to be honest with you, if I'm in the mood for that kind of a soap, I'll probably go for the Mitchell's Wool Fat, because I really like that one. It's got a little bit stronger of a lanolin, fresh linen kind of scent that I enjoy. Plus it's got that cool ceramic tub. So that's probably what I would use instead of this one, but it's definitely a good, respectable little soap. Well, that was the shave. The Merkur Futur, I've got the Q-Shave version of it, and I like it just as good. And so it's a $13 razor as compared to the $40 or $50 razor that this one is. And so I'm going to sell the nicer one. Just to show you, you can validate the maker by popping off the top and look on the end right there, and it says Merkur, and over here I think it says Haslinger, Germany, right there. And so the Chinese knockoff, the Chinese version from Q-Shave is not going to have that. Mingxi is another maker of one of the clones, but I don't have any experience with that one. I've heard that some of them are much more aggressive, and I definitely have heard that from a couple of Mingxi owners. I don't know if all Mingxis are like a whole level more aggressive, or if some of them are. I don't know if some of the Q-Shaves are really aggressive, and I just happen to not have one of those. But anyway, just be careful about that. I would just order the Q-Shave version until we have more data on that. And so I wanted to test that razor out so that I could get rid of it after having used it on all my standard blades. And it's been really, really good in pretty much every blade I've thrown in it. Can't think of one that went bad. And then I'm doing my test with the Haslinger to try the OG, the Tallow version tomorrow, and we'll see about it. All right, well, hey, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope there was something here for you. Take care. Good night.